Hello everyone, welcome back to another recap. Today was round 3 in Sunway Formentera and I just finished my game, so let's talk about what happened. In round 3, I faced Julia Schulman and she is also known as Jules Gambit. So we had our first streamer matchup in this tournament. Super exciting because we're here as streamers streaming our games, and then if we face each other then it's double the fun, right? So I was super excited to face her. And let's see what happened in the game. So in preparation to the game, I knew she played a lot of Sicilians. I mostly checked her online games because she doesn't have a lot of games in the database. But I thought she would go for the Sicilian. But in the Sicilian, she has played several lines, so I was not sure which one she would go for. But I prepared for some of them, and that's why I was excited to play against the Sicilian. It's always fun and gives you nice open positions, right? Gives you a lot of room for creativity. So e4, c5, knight f3, d6, and here she went for not the Najdorf, but the dragon. And not just the dragon, but after bishop e3, bishop g7, f3, she went for a6, and this is called the Dragodorf. It's a mixture, combination of the Najdorf and the dragon, and I was honestly not expecting this, so I was already out of book here pretty much. I usually don't really play against this opening, so that's why I was also not sure what to do, and I thought, okay, let's just go by logic. I know a little bit about what to do against the dragon, so let's try to kind of mimic that, right? So I went for queen d2, h5. I was also a bit surprised by this because I thought, okay, like the plan of mine is to play g4, but now I don't really have this move anymore. So, okay, change of plans. We'll see what happens. Bishop c4 instead, b5, bishop b3, bishop b7, and I'm just simply developing my bishop. I don't want to allow d5 so easily over here, so that's why I put the bishop all the way on b3 now. a4, so I'm trying to sort of put pressure on the pawn structure on the queen side, because now my opponent basically has to push. Well, at least that's what I thought. So, because usually you don't really want to take, but it turns out that taking on a4 is the best move here, because I guess if you push, then you're weakening a lot of squares on the queen side, and then there's only one move left. You have to take then. So I guess it makes sense afterwards that you have to take on a4, but it's difficult to make this move because you have this pawn on a6 all alone, and it just looks really pleasant to play for white. So b4 made a lot of sense, the move that she played. Knight a2. I was not entirely sure where to go with the knight, but turns out that knight d5 is completely fine. I was thinking that after knight takes, pawn takes, queen a5, I was not entirely sure where this is going to, and I thought, okay, I'm just losing the pawn on d5, but turns out I can go castle any side, doesn't matter. Let's go long castle, let's say. And if the bishop captures the pawn, there's knight f5. So this is like a lot of crazy moves. Bishop takes, knight takes g7, king f8. Not sure what is going on here, because there's bishop h6, you defend the knight, and at the same time threaten to move that knight with a check. The bishop on the b3 is hanging, and this is too much craziness. I want to play a bit less concrete like this. I want to, get into a position that I'm sure that I'm winning and not just complicate things for no reason. So instead I went for knight a2. a5 was played because my opponent has to defend this pawn, and now c3. So I'm simply opening up the position on the queen side because I have a lot of access to many squares. b5 is now very interesting for my knight on d4, and it just looks really good overall. b takes c3, knight takes c3, and knight d7. So I feel pretty happy about my position. It's a bit difficult to see how I have to proceed here because getting to a good position is one thing, but the next step is to actually do something with it. So I thought, okay, I guess, I decided now that I'm not going long castle anymore. I have to go short castle. Usually you don't want to go short castle when you play f3, but sometimes it's for the best. So here I played knight db5, knight e5. Here I thought that maybe knight c5 is a better move. I was not entirely sure yet whether I wanted to take on c5 or not, because I really like this bishop over here. I usually want to keep the dark squared bishop alive and trade it for this bishop over here. But in this case, I was not entirely sure if I wanted to do this. Or if it's better to take. Because after takes, the pawn structure is becoming even worse of black. And yeah, I can see why this is really good for white. But during the game, I was not entirely sure. Maybe I would just play bishop c2 or bishop a2 to stay on this diagonal. But yeah, a lot of moves seem very good here. So I thought knight c5 was the best try because the knight belongs on the square. Because after the move that she played, the move knight e5, it's unclear where this knight is heading to, because any sort of threat that she tries to create here is really easy to defend. I went short castle, and here she went h4. And ideas, of course, she wants to play h3, and maybe if I push g3, then f3 pawn becomes a bit of a weakness, and the knight becomes really useful then, but I'm simply able to play h3, so I can stop all those threats altogether. And at the same time, I'm preparing f4 now, because after f4 there was knight g4. Now I prevent knight g4 from happening because of the pawn. So rook h5, I was a bit surprised by this move. I thought, okay, it makes a lot of sense actually, because black does not want to castle short anymore. It's just running into a trap if you do that. So it made sense to just move the rook instead and bring the rook into the action like this. So I was a bit caught off guard by this, but I thought, okay, let's go and take it easy. I was not entirely sure if I should play f4 already or not. It's not a big difference, I guess, but turns out that f4 is simply fine. But I just wanted to take it easy. I know that I'm in a better position. I don't know by how much, but I feel like there is something going on for me here, and I should just take it easy. I'm not in a rush. I can just be patient and yeah, just make nice and simple moves. Rook c8, f4, and yeah, this is the moment that I decided to play f4. She did play knight d7, and yeah, I was calculating moves such as knight c4, bishop takes, rook takes, and then e5, and yeah, then knight e4 is the most challenging one, of course, because now I have to take, and well, I don't have to, but that seems the most logical. And I thought, okay, I'm going to take that pawn on d6, and I thought I should be better here. But with a pair of bishops on the board for my opponent, there must be something. There must be some sort of compensation. So I did consider this the most, but when she went back to d7, I thought, okay, now I have to take care of this pawn on e4. Do I push? Do I push the other pawn? And I thought, no, I want to take it easy. Bishop c2, simply defend the pawn on e4, and I want to push that pawn at the right time. Knight b6, and here I played b3. Turns out that there's a better move here, of course, as always. I simply didn't want to allow any sort of knight c4. I felt like if I prevent all of my opponent's threats, at some point she will get stuck, because it's really difficult actually to see how she can make any sort of progress, because as soon as she plays the move d5, I play e5, and she has even a more awkward position after that. She cannot move the e pawn because the d6 pawn is hanging, and then what's left? There is very few ideas left for black. So I thought if I just prevent any sort of ideas, then I'm fine. But apparently bishop d4 was a much better move, with the idea that you want to prepare e5 or maybe queen f2. There's many moves you can play here, honestly. So yeah, I played b3 anyway, knight d7, and here I went for e5 immediately. It was already my threat, but after knight d7 I want to play it anyway, because after d takes e5 I played move f5. Not taking the pawn on e5 because I want to keep that rook on h5 stuck over there. And yeah, she played f6. There's so many threats happening here. It's really difficult to see what the best is. Maybe taking, but yeah, it's just a rough position overall. I'm simply attacking, and that king is going to fall one day, one moment. So f6 was played, f takes g6, rook b8, and yeah, the light squares of in black's position are just extremely weak. Queen e2, I saw that, okay, I can play bishop f5, which is my initial idea, but then I thought, I want to put a queen on f7. So then in your head, you try to visualize, okay, how do I get my queen to f7? You think queen e2, queen g4, queen e6, and queen f7. And the best part is that after queen e6, the knight can also jump to d6. So there's a ton of threats appearing on the board all of a sudden, just by one simple maneuver. Queen e2, rook h8, the rook has to move because it was under attack. Queen g4, queen c8. She doesn't really have any better moves here. It's a really rough position overall. As soon as she makes one move, let's say she, I don't even know. You try to move one piece and you lose the other. Knight f8, okay, the knight is pinned, so you can't even move knight. all the pieces are stuck, and that makes the position of black so difficult. Queen c8, queen e6, I am in black's territory, and after queen c6 I have to be a little bit careful because she is threatening checkmate and I don't want to trade queens, right? So queen f7 check, king d8, and I play bishop e4 here, and this is the moment that she resigned because, well, it is really difficult to see what black can do here. The next move, let's say after queen c8, I'm just taking on b6, and that is checkmate very soon, and the position just simply fell apart here already. What is interesting to note is that actually ever since knight fd7, I played all the top moves of the computer, which is really insane. I did not expect this at all because, yeah, I was not entirely sure about my plans, but turns out it was great, so I'm really happy about that. Yeah, overall, really good game, really happy with the game. In analysis, it's like really nice to see back that you actually played really well, because during the game you're very unsure. During the game you always have doubts, or you feel like you're taking it too easy, or you're instead impatient. And today I really felt like I was too patient, but turns out that I actually did quite a good job. So really happy with this game. And yeah, we go to round 4 with 2 points out of 3, so that's pretty good. But I'm a little bit terrified that I'll be playing a really strong player tomorrow. So yeah, we'll have to get ready for that. So I am going to head out, have some rest. I'm done pretty early, so that's why I could record outside. It's really nice weather. Actually, the lighting is not the greatest. It's supposed to be good lighting when I'm in the sun, but the sun is in the wrong angle, and I guess that causes issues. But yeah, anyway, I'm going to take some rest. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks a lot for the support. I'm super excited to be in this tournament. Formentera is simply amazing. I mean, look at the view. Looks like a painting, honestly. So super happy that I can play in this tournament. And yeah, we go to the next round. Thanks for watching. Have a great one, and I'll see you in the next video.